Recent scenes outside the residence of former U.S. President Donald Trump have sparked widespread debate and political controversy after protesters gathered and shouted angry slogans and insults during a demonstration. The protest, which reportedly took place outside one of Trump's private properties, quickly drew media attention and spread across social media platforms, where videos of the incident went viral within hours. According to reports circulating online, a group of protesters gathered near Trump's residence holding signs and chanting slogans criticizing his political policies, his statements, and his ongoing influence in American politics. Some protesters were seen shouting aggressively and using offensive language, which has further divided public opinion in the United States. Supporters of Donald Trump have strongly condemned the protest, calling it disrespectful and inappropriate, especially outside a private residence. They argue that political disagreements should remain within the boundaries of peaceful and respectful protest, not personal attacks or insults directed at individuals or their families. On the other hand, critics of Trump say the protest reflects growing political frustration and polarization in the United States. They argue that public figures, especially politicians, often face protests and criticism as part of democratic systems where freedom of speech allows people to express their opinions openly, even if those opinions are harsh or controversial. Political analysts say this incident is another example of how divided American politics has become in recent years. The United States has seen increasing political tensions between different political groups, especially since the 2016 and 2020 presidential elections. Protests, rallies, and demonstrations have become a common part of political life in the country. Some experts believe that social media is playing a major role in amplifying political anger and spreading controversial moments quickly across the world. Within minutes of the protest videos being uploaded, millions of people had already watched and shared them, turning a local protest into an international political story. Security experts also raised concerns about protests taking place near private residences of political figures. They say that while peaceful protest is a democratic right, security and safety must also be maintained to prevent any dangerous situations or confrontations. Meanwhile, political commentators on television networks, including well-known media personalities like Rachel Maddow, discussed the incident and the broader political climate in the United States. Many commentators focused less on the protest itself and more on what it represents, a country that is deeply politically divided. Some commentators argue that protests like these show that political anger is no longer limited to election campaigns or political rallies, but has now reached personal spaces and private residences, which could increase tensions even further in the future. Others say this is not the first time a political figure's home has been targeted by protesters. In recent years, several American politicians from both major political parties have faced protests outside their homes. This shows that political anger in the country is affecting leaders from all sides, not just one political group. Supporters of Trump say that such protests could actually increase his popularity among his political base, because they believe he is being unfairly targeted by political opponents and media organizations. In American politics, controversy often increases media coverage, and more media coverage often means more political influence. Critics, however, argue that Trump himself has used strong language in politics for many years, and therefore political protests against him are not surprising. They say American politics has become more aggressive overall, and this incident is just another example of that political environment. Political experts believe that incidents like this will likely continue as the United States approaches future elections, because political tensions usually increase during election periods. Protests, political rallies, and public demonstrations are expected to become more frequent. Another important factor is the role of media coverage. When major media networks cover protests and controversies, they often become much bigger stories than they would otherwise be. This creates a cycle where protests lead to media coverage leads to more political anger, and more political anger leads to more protests. International observers are also watching American politics closely, because political instability or internal conflict in the United States can affect global politics, financial markets, and international relations. Some analysts say that political polarization in the United States is now one of the highest in modern history. People from different political parties often have completely different views on the same events, which makes political compromise more difficult. Despite the controversy, law enforcement authorities reportedly monitored the protest to ensure that it remained under control and did not turn violent. So far, there have been no confirmed reports of major violence related to the protest, but the incident has already become a major political talking point. In the coming months, political tensions in the United States are expected to continue rising as political campaigns, legal cases, and election preparations continue. Events like protests, political speeches, and media debates will likely continue dominating political news. Whether this protest will have any long-term political impact remains unclear, but one thing is certain: American politics remains highly polarized, highly emotional, and closely watched by the entire world. This incident once again shows how political disagreements in modern politics are no longer limited to debates and elections, but are increasingly being expressed through protests, demonstrations, and public confrontations. As the political climate continues to heat up, events like this may become more common, and the world will continue watching how American politics evolves in the coming years.